The ventilation shaft made strange sounds again. Owen Wright pulled his toolkit closer and pressed his ear against the metal grating. Working night shifts in the lower maintenance levels meant dealing with odd noises regularly, but this one felt different. It sounded almost like crying. He loosened the bolts and removed the grating. His flashlight beam cut through the darkness of the tunnel ahead. Nothing visible at first, just dust particles dancing in the light. Then he heard it again, a soft whimpering sound that made his chest tighten. Owen crawled into the shaft, ignoring the discomfort of sharp edges against his knees. The tunnel branched in 3 directions. He followed the sound to the left, squeezing through a narrow passage that opened into a junction box chamber. His light found her immediately to a small creature huddled in the corner, silver scales catching the beam like tiny mirrors. She had wings folded tight against her back and a long tail wrapped around her body. Her amber eyes went wide with fear when she saw him. Owen froze. He knew what she was. Everyone in the galaxy knew about dragons. Fierce warriors, proud clans, species that could breathe fire and tear through metal with their claws. But this one looked nothing like the stories. She was tiny, maybe the size of a 6-year-old human child. Her ribs showed through her scales. Dirt covered her face. "Hey," he said softly, keeping his voice low. "I'm not going to hurt you." The dragon child pressed herself harder against the wall. A small device hung around her neck, blinking red. A translator, but it looked damaged. Owen sat down slowly, making himself smaller and less threatening. He pulled a nutrition bar from his pocket, the kind station workers carried during long shifts. He unwrapped it and held it out. "Are you hungry?" She stared at the food. Her whole body trembled. Then she spoke, her voice coming through the broken translator in crackling bursts. "Human, can you pretend to be my father today?" The words hit Owen harder than any physical blow. He had lost his wife and daughter 3 years ago in a colony accident. The pain still lived inside him like a permanent wound. This small creature asking for something so simple, yet so impossible, made his eyes sting. "What are you doing down here?" he asked gently. She reached for the food with shaking hands. Her claws were small and surprisingly delicate. She ate like she had forgotten how, taking tiny bites at first, then larger ones as hunger overcame caution. "They left me," she said between bites. "My clan. I'm too small, too weak. Dragons must be strong. I am defective." Owen felt anger rise in his throat. What kind of people abandon child? He looked at her more closely. She wore a torn piece of fabric that might have been clothing once. Her wings had small tears in the membranes. She had been surviving alone. "How long have you been here?" "Many sleeps. I count by when the lights change in the tunnels. 27 light changes, I think. Almost a month. A child alone for almost a month in the maintenance tunnels of Horizon's rest station." Owen made a decision without really thinking about it. Rules and regulations could wait. "What is your name?" "Lyra." "Lyra, I am Owen. Would you like to come with me? I have a place where you can sleep. Real food. A shower." Suspicion filled her eyes. "Why would you help me?" "Humans and dragons are not friends. My clan leaders say humans are weak because they cry, because they care about small things." Owen smiled sadly. "Maybe that is exactly why I want to help you. Come on, we need to get you somewhere safe." She hesitated, then nodded. When she tried to stand, her legs buckled. Owen caught her before she fell. She weighed almost nothing. He could feel every bone in her small body. "Can you hide under my jacket? I need to get you past some security cameras." Lyra nodded and let him wrap his work jacket around her. She was so small she fit against his chest completely. He felt her heart beating fast like a frightened bird. The walk back through the tunnels took 20 minutes. Owen moved carefully, avoiding the main corridors. His quarters were in the worker residential sector, small and basic, but clean. He had not had a visitor since moving to the station. Once inside, he set Lyra down on his couch. She looked around with wide eyes, taking in the small space. Owen went to his kitchen unit and started heating water. "Do dragons drink tea?" "I do not know. My clan gave us nutrient paste." "Well, let us try tea, and I have some protein rations. Not fancy, but better than what you have been eating." While the food heated, Owen found a blanket and wrapped it around her shoulders. She pulled it tight, her eyes never leaving him. Trust and fear fought in her expression. "Will you really pretend," she asked quietly, "to be my father? Just for today?" Owen sat down beside her. He thought about his daughter, about how she used to ask him to read stories before bed, about how she loved having her hair brushed, about all the small moments that made family real. "Yes," he said, "for today." Lyra leaned against his side, careful with her claws. "Tomorrow, too? We will see about tomorrow. First, let us get you fed and cleaned up. Then you can sleep somewhere safe." She nodded, a tiny smile appearing on her face for the first time. Owen felt something shift inside his chest. The hollow space where his family used to be suddenly did not feel quite so empty. This strange, frightened, beautiful child needed someone. And maybe he needed her too. The tea whistled. Owen stood to pour it, already planning how he would keep her hidden, how he would help her recover. He had no idea what complications would follow this decision. He only knew that leaving her alone was not an option his conscience could accept. Lyra watched him move around the kitchen, hope growing in her amber eyes. 3 days had passed since Owen brought Lyra home. She still flinched at sudden movements and ate like every meal might be her last. But small changes were appearing. She smiled more often. Her scales looked brighter after proper washing and nutrition. Owen sat at his desk terminal, scrolling through files on dragon biology. The information was limited. Most species kept their medical data private. What he found worried him. Dragon children needed specific minerals in their diet. They required higher temperatures than humans. Their emotional development depended on clan bonding rituals he could not replicate. "What are you reading?" Lyra asked from the couch where she was drawing on a digital pad he had given her. "Trying to learn how to take care of you properly." She set down the pad and walked over. Her movements were becoming more confident. "You do not need to read about it. You already take care of me. But I want to make sure I am doing it right. You are not human. You have different needs." Lyra climbed onto his lap, something she had started doing when she wanted attention. Her tail wrapped loosely around his arm. "My clan never read about how to care for hatchlings. They just followed old rules. Strength training, combat practice, emotional control. They said caring too much makes dragons weak." Owen put his arm around her carefully. Her scales felt warm and smooth. "What do you think about that?" "I think they were wrong. I think caring is what makes someone strong enough to protect others." The wisdom in her words surprised him. She was young, but her experiences had taught her things most children never learned. Owen pulled up a new file. "I found something interesting. Dragons with empathic abilities are very rare. Only one in every 10,000 hatchlings develops the gift." Lyra nodded. "That is why they wanted to keep me after all. At first, being small made me worthless. But then I started feeling what others felt. The clan leaders realized I could be useful. A tool for negotiations." "How does it work?" She tilted her head, thinking. "It is like colors in my mind. Your emotions are blue and gold right now. Blue for sadness underneath. Gold for warmth on top. When you found me, you were purple. Deep grief. But now the purple is fading." Owen felt his throat tighten. "You can see all that." "Yes. Is why I knew you were safe. Your colors were sad, but kind. The clan leaders who wanted me back have red and black colors. Anger and greed." A knock on the door made them both freeze. Owen quickly moved Lyra toward the bedroom. "Hide in there. Do not come out until I say it is safe." She disappeared silently. Owen waited until the bedroom door closed before opening the front door. His neighbor, Mrs. Patel, stood outside, holding a covered dish. "Owen, I made too much curry. Thought you might want some." She was a kind woman who worked in the station's botanical gardens. Owen had barely spoken to her in the years he lived here. "Thank you. That is very thoughtful." Mrs. Patel smiled, but her eyes were curious. "I heard crying the other night. Are you all right? Just bad dreams." "I am fine. If you need to talk, my door is always open." Grief is harder when we face it alone. After she left, Owen let Lyra out. She sniffed the curry with interest. She has green colors, concern and genuine care. You can trust her. Maybe, but we still need to be careful. If station security finds you, they will have questions I cannot answer. That night, Owen woke to screaming. He rushed to the bedroom and found Lyra thrashing in the bed, her wings spread wide. She was still asleep, trapped in a nightmare. He gently shook her shoulder. Lyra, wake up. You are safe. Her eyes opened, wild with fear. Then she recognized him and started crying, real tears running down her scaled cheeks. Owen pulled her close and let her sob against his chest. Her claws gripped his shirt, but she was careful not to hurt him even in her distress. They were taking me back, she gasped between sobs. In my dream. You could not stop them. I was alone again. That will not happen. I promise. How can you promise? You're just one human. My clan is powerful. They have ships and warriors and legal rights. Owen held her tighter. Because I will fight for you. Humans are good at fighting for things we love. We do not give up easily. You love me. Her voice was so small and hopeful it broke his heart. Yes. I do not plan to. But yes. You're not just a child I am helping anymore. You are my child. Lyra looked up at him. I do not need to ask anymore. About pretending. No. No more pretending. She hugged him fiercely. I love you too, Owen. Is it okay for dragons to say that? It is okay for anyone to say that when they mean it. The next morning, Owen took a risk. He sent a message to an old friend who worked in station legal services. He explained the situation carefully, leaving out some details but making the core problem clear. An abandoned child, a human willing to provide care. The biological family wanting her back for wrong reasons. The response came faster than expected. His friend wanted to meet. Owen knew this was the beginning of something bigger than just hiding Lyra in his quarters. The galaxy was about to learn that humans did not abandon their children, even when those children had scales and wings and came from species that called humans weak. Lyra ate breakfast quietly, sensing his worry through her empathic gift. What happens now? Now we make this official, legal, so no one can take you away. Will it work? I do not know, but we have to try. She reached across the table and put her small hand over his. Together. Security Chief Ralna moved through the corridors with purpose. Her species, the Colonians, were known for patience and thoroughness. She had received an anonymous tip 3 hours ago. An unregistered dragon child living in the worker residential sector. Normally, she would dismiss such claims, but the informant had provided specific details. Unit 7 to 429. A human maintenance worker named Owen Wright. She approached the door with 2 junior officers. The scanner showed 2 life signs inside. One human, one definitely reptilian. Ralna pressed the door chime. Owen had been expecting this. He had prepared Lyra as best he could. When he opened the door, he stood straight and calm. Chief Ralna, how can I help you? We received reports of an unregistered minor on the premises. May we come in? Do you have a warrant? I can obtain one within the hour. Or you can cooperate now, and we can handle this simply. Owen stepped aside. Ralna entered with her officers. She spotted Lyra immediately. The dragon child sat on the couch, her tail wrapped tight around herself. Fear colored her expression, but she did not run. What is your name, little one? Ralna asked gently. Her voice was surprisingly soft. Lyra, how did you come to be here, Lyra? Before the child could answer, Owen spoke. I found her in the maintenance tunnels 4 days ago. She was starving and alone. Her clan abandoned her. Ralna studied Owen carefully. Why did you not report this to station authorities? Because I was afraid of exactly what is happening now. That she would be taken and returned to people who left her to die. That is not your decision to make. We have protocols for situations involving abandoned minors. What are those protocols? Send her back to her clan? Put her in some facility while bureaucrats decide her fate? She is a child, not a problem to be processed. One of the junior officers moved closer to Lyra. She pressed herself against the couch cushions. Without thinking, Owen stepped between them. The protective gesture was instinctive and clear. Ralna raised a hand, stopping her officer. Mr. Wright, your intentions may be good, but the law is complicated. Dragon clans have specific rights regarding their young. Cultural protections exist across species boundaries, even when those cultures harm children. Before Ralna could respond, her communicator beeped. She listened to the message, her face hardening. It seems the Flamewing clan has sent a representative. They're demanding the return of their property. Property? Owen felt rage building in his chest. She is not property. She is a living being with feelings and rights. That may be your human perspective. Others view it differently. Lyra suddenly spoke up, her voice trembling but brave. They do not want me because they care. They want me because I can feel emotions. Because I am useful now. When I was just small and weak, I was garbage. Ralna looked at the child with new understanding. You are an empath? That changes things. Empathic dragons are incredibly rare. Does that make her more valuable or more deserving of protection? Owen asked bitterly. The security chief sat down, gesturing for her officers to wait outside. Once they were alone, she spoke more freely. I have worked on this station for 15 years. I have seen many custody disputes across species. The law tries to balance cultural rights with individual welfare. But honestly, the law is not always just. Then help us, Owen pleaded. You can see she is terrified of going back. You can see she is healthy and cared for here. I can see a human who broke station regulations by harboring an unregistered minor. I can see a dragon clan exercising their legal rights. What I personally feel about the situation does not matter. Lyra climbed off the couch and approached Ralna carefully. You have orange colors. Duty and conflict. You want to help, but you are bound by rules. Ralna blinked in surprise. Your empathic reading is accurate. That is exactly what I feel. Then please understand. Owen is my father now. Not because of biology. Because he chose to love me when no one else would. Is that not what family should be? The security chief was quiet for a long moment. Then she stood. A hearing has been scheduled for tomorrow before the station council. The Flamewing representative will present their case for custody. You will have a chance to speak as well, Mr. Wright. I suggest you prepare carefully. After she left, Owen pulled Lyra close. She was shaking. What will happen at the hearing? I will fight for you. With everything I have. What if it is not enough? Then we will find another way. I will not let them take you. That evening, word spread through the human community on the station. Owen received messages from people he barely knew. Offers of support, testimony, legal advice. One message came from a woman named Patricia Cole who worked in interspecies family services. I have handled 3 cross-species adoption cases. None involved dragons, but I know the system. Meet me tomorrow before the hearing. We will build your case together. Owen felt hope flicker in his chest. Humans were gathering around them. Not because they knew Lyra, but because protecting children in need was something humans understood on a fundamental level. Lyra watched him read the messages. Why are they helping? They do not know me. Because this is what humans do. We protect the vulnerable. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. We build families from love, not obligation. And when one of us takes in a child, all of us stand behind that choice. Even for a dragon, especially for a dragon who needs us. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. My clan taught me that showing emotion is weakness. But when I am with you, crying feels like being strong enough to be honest. Owen hugged her tight. Tomorrow would bring challenges he could barely imagine. A legal battle against an entire clan. Cultural differences he did not fully understand. But tonight, he had a daughter who trusted him, and that made him stronger than he had been in years. The council chamber was larger than Owen expected. Seats arranged in a semicircle faced the central floor where he would have to stand and speak. Representatives from 12 species sat in those seats, their faces ranging from curious to stern. Lyra sat in a waiting area behind a transparent barrier, clutching a stuffed animal Mrs. Patel had given her that morning. The Flamewing representative entered like he owned the room. His name was Drajan, and unlike Lyra, he embodied everything people imagine when they thought of dragons. Tall, powerful, covered in deep crimson scales. His eyes held no warmth, only calculation. Council leader Moraven, a silver-furred lupin, called the session to order. We are here to determine custody of the dragon child designated as Lyra of Flamewing clan. Drajan, you may present your case. Drajan's voice rumbled through the chamber. This is simple. Lyra is Flamewing property by birth. Our clan laws, protected under Galactic Cultural Preservation Act, give us absolute authority over our young. Her temporary weakness led to a training separation. Now that she has demonstrated value through her empathic abilities, we claim our right to reclaim and properly educate her. Training separation. Owen could not keep the anger from his voice. You abandoned child. Silence, Moraven commanded. You will have your turn to speak, Mr. Wright. Drajan continued, unbothered. Dragon culture has survived for millennia through strength and discipline. Humans may coddle their weak, but we forge our young through challenge. The child was never in true danger. We monitored her progress. You monitored her starving in maintenance tunnels. Owen shouted. Moraven slammed his gavel. Mr. Wright, control yourself or you will be removed. Patricia Cole, sitting beside Owen as his advisor, put a hand on his arm. She whispered, let him talk. He is making your case for you. Listen to how cold he sounds. Drajan presented documents. Clan genealogy showing Lyra's lineage. Legal precedents of dragon custody cases. Cultural studies on dragon child-rearing practices. Everything was technically correct. Everything followed the law. When Drajan finished, Moraven turned to Owen. You may now present your argument. Owen stood. His hands shook slightly, but his voice was steady. I am not a lawyer. I cannot quote laws or precedents. I'm just a maintenance worker who found a dying child and could not walk away. He pressed a button and images appeared on the chamber screens. Pictures he had taken of Lyra when he first found her. Her ribs showing, dirt covering her scales, the fear in her eyes. Several council members looked uncomfortable. This is what monitoring looks like to the Flamewing clan. A child alone for weeks, eating from waste recyclers, hiding in ventilation shafts. I have medical scans from the station doctor. She was 3 days from organ failure when I found her. Drajan's expression did not change. Hardship builds character. Hardship like this builds trauma, Owen countered. I have watched her wake up screaming from nightmares. I have held her while she cried. I have seen her flinch at sudden movements because she learned the world is cruel. He pulled up new images. Lyra smiling. Lyra drawing pictures. Lyra eating at his small table, looking content and safe. But I have also seen her heal. She laughs now. She asks questions about everything. She is curious and brave and kind. These pictures show what love and safety can do. Sentiment is not legal argument, Drajan said dismissively. No, but it is human argument, Patricia Cole stood. Permission to address the council. Moraven nodded. Patricia walked to the center of the room. I work in interspecies family services. I have handled cases involving colonian, insectoid, and avian children being placed with non-biological guardians. The law does allow for adoption across species lines when the biological family cannot or will not provide adequate care. Dragon clan law supersedes general adoption law, Drajan argued. Not when child welfare is at stake. I have here testimony from 3 separate psychologists who evaluated Lyra. All conclude that returning her to Flamewing custody would cause severe psychological harm. They also note her strong, healthy attachment to Mr. Wright. A council member, a crystalline being named Shimmer, spoke up. What a cultural argument. Dragons have rights to raise their young according to their traditions. An unexpected voice answered. The chamber doors opened and another dragon entered. This one was older, her scales pale blue with age. She moved with quiet dignity. My name is Elder Sira of the Moonscale clan. I request permission to speak. Moraven looked surprised but nodded. Granted. Sira moved to stand beside Owen. I have lived 240 years. I have seen dragon culture evolve, and I have seen it stagnate. Drajan speaks of tradition as if it is sacred law. But tradition that harms our young is not worth preserving. Drajan's eyes narrowed. You have no authority here, Elder. I have the authority of experience and wisdom. I have watched clans like Flamewing abandon dozens of young deemed imperfect. Some died. Some were taken in by other species. None returned willingly to their birth clans. She turned to the council. Dragon law says we forfeit rights when we abandon our responsibilities. Flamewing left this child to die. Only human compassion saved her. They have no moral claim. regardless of legal technicalities. This is interference, Drajan growled. Moraven raised a hand. Elder Sira's testimony will be considered. Do you have final statements? Owen looked at Lyra through the barrier. She watched him with complete trust. He took a breath. Lyra asked me to pretend to be her father, just for one day, because she was so lonely she would accept even fake love. But I cannot pretend anymore. She is my daughter, not because of genetics, because she chose me and I chose her, because we heal each other, because family is built through care and commitment. He met each council member's eyes. If you send her back to people who see her as property, you're telling every abandoned child in this galaxy that their suffering does not matter. That law is more important than life. I'm asking you to be better than that. The chamber fell silent. Moraven looked at his fellow council members. We will deliberate and deliver our decision tomorrow. As Owen walked out, Lyra ran to him. He picked her up and held her close, not knowing if he would be allowed to hold her tomorrow. Owen could not sleep. He sat in his small living room, watching Lyra breathe softly on the couch. The council would announce their decision in 8 hours. Every possible outcome played through his mind like a nightmare he could not escape. His terminal beeped quietly. A message from Patricia Cole. Meet me at Observation Deck 7 in 20 minutes. Alone. Important. He carefully covered Lyra with a blanket and left a note in case she woke. The observation deck was empty at this hour. Patricia stood by the massive windows overlooking the stars, her face troubled. What is wrong? Owen asked. I found something. A legal precedent that might help. But there is a problem. She pulled up documents on her datapad. 15 years ago, a human child was adopted by a Colonian family when both biological parents died. The case went to Galactic Court because human relatives contested the adoption. The court ruled that species difference does not prevent family bonds, and the child's best interests mattered more than biological connections. That is perfect. Why do you look worried? Because to use this precedent, we need to prove that you can meet Lyra's needs better than her birth clan. They will argue that only dragons can teach her dragon culture, dragon language, dragon traditions. They will say you are well-meaning, but ultimately inadequate. Owen felt his hope crumble. They will be right. I am just a human. I know nothing about being a dragon. That is not the point. The point is whether you can provide a safe, loving environment where she can thrive. But we need evidence. Strong evidence. The next morning, Owen woke to find Lyra missing from the couch. Panic seized him until he heard water running in the bathroom. She emerged a few minutes later, looking small and scared. Today is the day they decide, she said quietly. Yes. If they say I have to go back, will you fight them? Owen knelt down to her eye level. Lyra, I will do whatever the law allows me to do. But I need to be honest with you. I might not win this. Tears filled her amber eyes. I do not want to go back. They will use me. They will make me read people's emotions for their political games. I will never be a daughter to them. Only a tool. I know. Can we run away? Leave the station? Go somewhere they cannot find us? Owen had thought about this. Thought about taking a ship and disappearing into the outer colonies. But he shook his head. If we run, we will always be running. And they would hunt us. I will be labeled a kidnapper. You would be labeled stolen property. We would have no life. Lyra threw her arms around him. Then I want to go to the hearing. I want to tell them myself. They need to hear me. At the council chamber, Moraven called the session to order. But before he could speak, Lyra stood up in the witness area. I want to talk, she announced, her voice stronger than Owen had ever heard it. Moraven looked surprised. This is irregular. Let the child speak, Elder Sira said from the gallery. Her voice matters most in this decision. Drajan stood. The child is too young to understand the complexities of clan law and cultural obligations. I am young, but I am not stupid, Lyra shot back. She climbed down and walked to the center of the room. You all talk about what is legal, what is traditional, what is proper, but nobody asked me what I want. Your wants are irrelevant, Drajan said coldly. You are a minor. I am a person, Lyra insisted. I have feelings. I have thoughts. And I have the ability to know when someone cares about me and when someone just wants to use me. She turned to face Drajan directly. You say you monitored me in the tunnels. You watched me starve. You watched me cry alone. You did nothing, because you wanted to see if I was strong enough to survive. Well, I survived, but not because of dragon strength. Because a human found me and chose kindness over cruelty. Her empathic abilities were active now. One could see in her eyes. She was reading everyone in the room. Council Leader Moraven, you are green with uncertainty. You want to make the right choice, but you fear making the wrong one. Counselor Shimmer, you are yellow with sympathy. You feel for me, but you worry about setting precedent. Drajan, you are black and red. Greed and anger. You do not care about me at all. She turned to Owen, and Owen is blue and gold and silver. Sadness for his lost family. Warmth for me. And fierce protective love. That is what I need. That is what makes a father. Drajan moved toward her, his massive form intimidating. You forget yourself, hatchling. You are Flamewing. That will never change. Owen stepped between them instantly. Do not threaten her. I am not threatening. I am educating. She belongs to us. Something in Owen snapped. Years of grief, days of fear, and overwhelming love for this child converged into clarity. She belongs to herself, and she chooses me. That is all that matters. Security Chief Ralna stood from where she had been observing. I have something to add to this proceeding. When I investigated Mr. Wright's quarters, I documented Lyra's living conditions. She had her own sleeping space, Prope Nutrition, educational materials, medical care. She was clean, healthy, and most importantly, happy. She pulled up her official report. I also documented her fear response when my officers approached, and her immediate trust in Mr. Wright's protection. These behaviors indicate a strong, healthy attachment. As someone who has worked in security for 15 years, I can recognize the difference between a child who is safe and one who is not. Lyra is safe with Mr. Wright. Drajan's control was slipping. This is ridiculous. She's a dragon. He is human. The biological incompatibility alone should end this discussion. Elder Sira rose again. I raised 3 hatchlings who were abandoned by their clans. All 3 are now productive adults. Love transcends biology, Drajan. Something your clan has forgotten. Moraven raised his gavel. We have heard enough testimony. The council will now deliberate in private. We will return with our decision within the hour. As they waited, Lyra sat in Owen's lap, exhausted from her emotional testimony. Did I do good? She whispered. You were perfect. So brave. I am scared. Me too. But whatever happens, know that you are loved. That will never change. The weight felt endless. Owen held Lyra close, feeling her heartbeat against his chest. Other humans from the station had gathered in the gallery, showing silent support. Mrs. Patel gave him an encouraging nod. Patricia Cole reviewed her notes one last time, though there was nothing left to prepare. When the council returned, their faces revealed nothing. Moraven took his seat, and the chamber fell silent. This case has challenged us to examine the intersection of cultural rights, child welfare, and the definition of family across species boundaries. We have reviewed all testimony, all evidence, and all applicable laws. Owen felt Lyra grip his hand tighter. The Flame Wing clan argues legal precedent and cultural tradition. These arguments have merit under Galactic Cultural Preservation Act. However, this council also recognizes the Sentient Being Welfare Accord, which states that the well-being of any individual, especially minors, takes precedence over cultural practices that cause harm. Drajan stood. You cannot disregard centuries of dragon law. We can when that law conflicts with fundamental rights. Moraven replied firmly. Sit down, or you'll be removed. The dragon representative sat, his expression dark with fury. Moraven continued. The medical evidence shows Lyra was in life-threatening condition when found. The psychological evidence shows she suffered severe trauma from abandonment. The testimony, including her own, demonstrates clear preference for remaining with Mr. Wright. Most significantly, Elder Sira's testimony confirms that Flame Wing clan forfeited their rights through abandonment. Owen could barely breathe. Therefore, this council rules in favor of Mr. Owen Wright. Custody of Lyra is granted to him under special provision for cross-species guardianship. The Flame Wing clan's petition is denied. The chamber erupted. Humans cheered. Drajan roared in protest. Lyra burst into tears and buried her face in Owen's chest. He held her tight, his own eyes wet. "This is illegal," Drajan shouted. "I will appeal to the Galactic High Court." "That is your right," Moraven acknowledged. "But until such appeal is heard and decided, this ruling stands." Lyra remains with Mr. Right. Elder Sira approached Owen and Lyra. She placed a gentle hand on the child's head. "You have a good father now, little one. Honor this gift by living fully and freely." "Thank you," Lyra whispered. The old dragon turned to Owen. "Raise her well, human. Teach her that strength comes in many forms, including the strength to love." Over the following weeks, formal adoption procedures began. Paperwork crossed multiple departments. Medical evaluations confirmed Lyra's improving health. Psychological assessments showed remarkable recovery from trauma. Owen's quarters were officially modified to accommodate a growing dragon child's needs, including temperature controls and reinforced furniture. The human community rallied around them. Mrs. Patel taught Lyra how to grow plants. A teacher named Robertson volunteered to tutor her in mathematics and science. The station's cultural center created a program for cross-species families, with Owen and Lyra as the first participants. But the most unexpected support came from other abandoned dragon children. 3 more appeared over the next month, brought by their rescuers who had heard about Owen's case. He could not take them all, but he helped connect them with families willing to adopt across species lines. One evening, 2 months after the hearing, Owen and Lyra sat on the observation deck watching ships come and go. She had grown noticeably, her scales brighter, her wings stronger. She still had nightmares sometimes, but they were less frequent. "Owen," she asked, using his name instead of calling him father. She did that when she wanted to have serious conversations. "Yes. Why did you really save me? You could have reported finding me and walked away. It would have been easier." Owen thought carefully about his answer. "When I found you, I saw someone who needed help. But when you asked me to pretend to be your father, I saw something else. A chance to be needed again, to matter to someone. I lost my family, and I thought that part of my life was over. You showed me it did not have to be. So I saved you too." "Yes, we saved each other." Lyra leaned against him. "The other dragon children who were rescued, they asked me questions about living with a human. They want to know if it is strange. What do you tell them?" "I tell them it is wonderful. You do not understand dragon customs or traditional songs. You cannot teach me to fly properly because you do not have wings. But you teach me other things. How to be kind, how to trust, how to believe I am worthy of love, even when I am small." She looked up at him with those bright amber eyes. "Is that what humans are best at? Loving people who are different?" Owen smiled. "Maybe. We certainly practice it a lot. Humans come in many colors, many cultures, many beliefs. We learned a long time ago that family is not about being the same. It is about choosing to stay together anyway." A young Colonian family walked past, their child waving at Lyra. She waved back enthusiastically. She had made many friends at the station school. "I want to help other abandoned children," Lyra announced suddenly. "When I am older, I want to use my empathic abilities to find them good homes, to make sure no one is alone like I was. That is a beautiful goal. Will you help me?" "Always." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Owen thought about the anonymous tip that had brought security to his door. He never found out who sent it, but he suspected it might have been someone from Flamewing Clan testing whether he would fight for Lyra. If so, they had received their answer. A message appeared on his datapad. Patricia Cole wanted to meet next week. Another case. Another abandoned child, this time an insectoid young whose hive rejected them for being too small. Another family waiting to be built. "We have work to do," Owen said, showing Lyra the message. Her face lit up. "Can we help them? What do you think?" "I think that is what family does. We help others find what we found." Owen pulled her close. "Then, that is exactly what we will do." Below them, the station continued its endless dance through space. Thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds, all trying to build lives in the vast darkness. And in one small corner, A human and a dragon proved that the strongest force in the galaxy was not technology or weapons or ancient laws, that IT was the simple, revolutionary act of choosing to love someone who needed it most.